there and welcome to Locked In Conversations. I'm Charlotte Gibson and today I am joined by Lizzie Turner, Head of Health and Wellbeing. So today we're going to be discussing the revolution that's taking place within the health and wellbeing space, specifically focusing on app-based solutions that are coming out to market and providing a little bit of insight in terms of what we think is going to be is going to stick, what we think you will need to take into consideration for your own benefits offering. So hi Lizzie, thanks so much for joining today. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Charlotte?
I am very well, thank you, very well. So digital healthcare solutions, wellness solutions are becoming quite, the trend within the retail market. Health and wellbeing apps in the American market alone are estimated to be worth $16.5 billion. And this growth is, projected to continue. So within the context of employee benefits then, how would you say these app-based solutions fit within an employer's employee benefits strategy?
I think it makes up a really big part of that now because people want to have a lot more flexibility around when they can access their benefits, and they want to be able to have continual control over their health and monitoring their health. Obviously, different people have different levels of interest in that, but as you've mentioned, the industry is massive, so there's clearly a huge demand for that. And I think that health and wellbeing benefits are starting to really catch up with that now. Obviously, the current situation in lockdown has meant that some of those plans have moved forward a lot more quickly than perhaps they were originally planned for. But, that's only a positive thing because this is going to be a much more long-term change. I think it was something that was always going to be coming, but just this situation has really meant that people need to be able to access those benefits more quickly.
So do you think it's something that belongs within the retail market, or do you think it is something that should be intertwined within an employee benefits strategy?
I think it's really important that it's part of the employee benefit strategy as well, because ultimately the way the retail market works is going to determine how people access those benefits. So if people can't access them in the same way they do in retail, they're just not going to engage in them. I think that's an issue we've had within the market for quite some time. So for example, some providers, they develop their own fitness tracking apps, which is great. But the people that track their fitness, by the time those apps had already been launched, they'd already got their favourite ones that they were using, they were comfortable with it, they built up this whole history, of being able to monitor how well they've done, how far they've progressed. So they just didn't engage with those new apps. You might have got a few people that were kind of new to looking after their fitness or tracking their activity. But really, the people that were already doing that have their own favourite ones. So I think it's just a question of being able to replicate that within the employee benefits market.
Why do you think they're so successful?
It's the convenience. People have it on their phone and people are constantly on their phone. You can track now how many hours you look at your phone and don't do it because it will be depressing for you. So I would say people like their convenience. They want the health tracking in their pocket. People have got smartwatches now. They also can have notifications so they can be nudged into good new behaviours. And it's almost like positive peer pressure now that people have all of these different things available to them. So it's become a huge part of their lives. And if the employee benefits can't be used in that same way, they're just not going to be engaged with, and they're just going to kind of become a relic of the industry.
What kind of information would a business be able to get from their employees using these kinds of services?
It really depends on the product. I mean, a lot of them have MI now. Virtual GP have MI. Obviously EAPs that now come with apps and things, they have really good MI that you can get, and using that, you can use that to move forward with your benefit strategy. Are there particular stress points? And sometimes if you've got massive companies that are using these things, you can pinpoint that down to specific offices, and it really helps you to drive where you need to be investing, or if there's any areas with any issues.
So where do you believe these app-based solutions sit in relation to the traditional benefits? So by that I mean, you've got your income protection, you've got your pension scheme, cycle to work, which would traditionally be available, once a year or once a quarter or once a month if you're being super flexible. Where do they sit in relation to that?
Well, I think it's still really important to have those traditional benefits, because ultimately they're there for when people get really ill, when they have acute conditions and they need active treatment. But I think it's important to have both. And as we've seen from a lot of risk providers and PMI providers, they're starting to put in more of those app-based solutions or preventative solutions as well. So you really need to have both. Not only because it helps with cost controls, because hopefully if people are engaging more proactively with their health, they're looking after it, and in theory there should be less need to use those traditional benefits. But also from a cultural point of view, it's really important to make your employees feel like they're being well looked after, like you care about their ongoing health, and they've got things to engage with on a constant basis. And it also helps to keep them interested in those other benefits as well. You know, it's about having a well-rounded package of benefits that people at different points of their wellbeing journeys can have access to.
All of this stuff sounds great. It sounds like a nice to have, but with, budgets inevitably going to be cut, with spend being restricted, is this something that an employee should look to potentially prioritise over these traditional types of things, or prioritise over other different types of spend? What are your views on that?
I mean, it's obviously such a difficult time. There's so many companies in real severe financial difficulty. Those traditional benefits, I mean, I'm not for a second going to suggest that you should start pulling benefits like that. That's absolutely not the case. You know, you could potentially look at the way that the benefit is shaped, whether there's any way that you could reduce some aspects of the benefit itself, and then you could use any savings for that to put preventative measures in place. But actually, I think it's about looking at what you already have and making the most of the additional benefits that come with what you already have. I mean, PMI providers and risk providers now are trying to be more and more competitive, and in that means you get more and more additional benefits. So I think it's understanding what those benefits are, and also promoting and communicating those benefits to your employees correctly, so that they know they're there and that they're available to them.
I think it's very true. You know, as a consultant, working with those businesses who are particularly the early adopters, who really want to be innovative with their health and wellbeing strategy and really engage with it, we always look at provider fit for all clients, but particularly obviously become very, very important for those types of clients, because it's unbelievable how many of these benefits you can, or variations of, you can get in free of charge, or at a nominal cost to your existing provision. So I think that's a really handy tip for HR professionals there. So there's so many different things for wellness, mental health, physical health. One, you can do home testing, and other types of things where it's more behavioural type things. Where on earth do you start?
I think it's about looking at your own population. I mean, all clients have different makeups of employees. Not everything is going to be right for every company, and equally, not every benefit you put in place is going to be right for every employee. So I think it's about using the MI you can get on the current benefits you've got in place, see where you're getting the most uptake. I think there's a lot of benefit in doing employee surveys and understanding actually what employees want, because you can chuck any benefits out there that you personally might think are great ideas, but unless you ask them, there's absolutely no point in doing it, because they might not engage with them anyway. So I think it's important to understand the demographic and ask them what they're looking for, but also look outside just the benefit space. There's so much out there at the moment that employees will be engaging with already themselves. So, for example, apps, to help with weight loss and things that have more of a psychology focus, like Noom and Second Nature, are hugely popular. Also things like, you've got vitamin services, and the government are telling us we need to have more vitamin D because we've been inside for so long. So it's those kind of things that you need to look outside the wider benefit space and start to be a bit more innovative, and then focus that on actually your employees and what they want.
And there are, if you do work with an intermediary, they can also help provide you with almost information on what the Joneses are doing. So if you're wanting to keep in line with the rest of the market, and you know that you're working in the tech space, for example, where the pressures of being an early adopter tend to be that little bit higher than those, say, in manufacturing or in retail, then they are there to support you with this. So do make sure that you go and ask them. Okay, so what's your one final thought on this topic then, Lizzie?
My one final thought is that I think clients really need to get ahead of looking at what they offer on a flexible and digital basis, because this isn't something that's going to go away. There's a huge demand for this. And I think there's a huge opportunity for clients to be really innovative in what they offer employees that's going to fit into their lifestyle and actually have a lasting impact on their health and well-being.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the conversations, and I look forward to speaking to you all next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.